Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club. This week, Annie made us watch both versions of The Parent Trap. The one from 1961, which is number 1400 on the Franken list, and the one from 1998, which is number 4684 on the Franken list. I know. I am Frank Gaffney. With us always, Joel. No Parent Traps in the background.
Ah,
Oh, in the foreground. Cringer and Goldfuck, there they are. And Mark Wotetz has no picture up of either one. And Annie King is in Costa Rica. Annie and Allie. You have to go like this and then go like
That's
this.
cool.
Ah,
There you go. Now we know you're two people. Here's the plot. Two identical twin sisters, both played by Haley Mills in the original, then Lindsay Lohan in the remake, are separated at birth by their parents, divorced Maureen O'Hara and Brian Keith in the original, then Natasha Richardson and Dennis Quaid in the remake. And they are reunited years later, 11 years later, at summer camp when they scheme to bring their parents back together. This is all kinds of wrong. How would any parents make the decision to never see each other
yes,
and have their kids meet each other?
the big note of mine.
All
Oh
right,
yeah.
we'll have to just accept that.
Wait 1 second. It is based on a German book, so that at least makes sense.
Hey, I'm half German.
I'm
I'm not.
slightly German too.
Yeah,
I
but
hope.
but you have another half that you don't know about. So, all right, that was my big comment on the movie. My observations while watching it. I thought Haley Mills were cute. She was great. But oi, the song, my
Oh,
goodness.
mm, mm.
Tommy Sands and Annette Funicello. But Let's Stay Together, yeah, 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 was the song we used during Psycho Beach Party. So I know every word of that song.
And he's
When,
And
when
then
was that part? When was that part in it? When was that?
Psycho Beach Party?
No, no, no. Let's stay together. Was that wasn't the opening
That's
credit?
it. Yeah, the sister sang it to the parents. Let's stay together. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
during the concert. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
there's a moment in the remake where Lindsay Lohan is
Hums
singing
it,
as well.
yeah.
Well, she's getting into an elevator. She sings
Yep,
something. Okay, it
yep.
was that song,
Sing
not the
along. Yep.
opening
That
credit.
one,
Thank you.
that
That was the
one
question.
line. Yeah. And then we see Nancy Culp, the original lesbian camp counselor.
Wow.
And I wrote the nerve of her coming here with your face. That made me laugh. The visiting counselor was Frank Duvall. Who's Frank Duvall, you ask? I will tell you, he had quite the career as a musician, not as an actor. He got 4 Oscar nominations. But more importantly, he wrote the theme for the Brady Bunch.
Ah,
That's why I now know the name. Now I could see it in the credit
okay.
title.
And oi, the terrible wig one of them was wearing. I'm like, that is horrible.
Yeah.
Um, and then when they were, this is 1961 Disney Studios, they're walking in front of the backdrop. It was like you could see they were just marking their paces. It was like so ridiculous.
Wait, wait, wait. Can you explain it? What do you mean?
So the background was floating while they were walking. Maureen O'Hara and Haley Mills were
Oh, in the
walking
park. In the
in the
park. Yes.
park, and it was so weirdly the backdrop was not moving at the right. It was weird.
Gotcha.
It
Gotcha.
was like they were floating. It was weird. And they were obviously indoors. Terrible. And then the housekeeper figures it out. You mean Sharon with the violins? Uh, but the girlfriend, she's just the Baroness from Sound of Music. Don't play with the big girls, she'll be in over your head. And then Grandpa figures it out, and then Mom finds out, and I just kept thinking, "Hi, too."
Hi, Joey.
And then Mom finds out, and I thought this movie is just fucked up. I'm sorry. And this was a weird moment, little things annoy me. He flicks the ashes off into his hand, and then he threw it on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes. Saw that.
you want to make sure that the rug didn't burn? What was going on there? And then the drama. They're getting married on Saturday. Oh no. And then the dad finds out. And every time the twins were in the same scene, because again, 1961, I kept thinking, there has to be a line in the middle, like right here at my cabinet, so that they could do the two things. But when they did the Lindsay Lohan one, obviously the technology was much better. Okay. Okay, when the mom meets dad's fiance, honestly, mom was a little cunty. And then I had to look it up. Maureen O'Hara was 41.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I looked that up
Vicky,
too. Yeah.
and Vicky Darling was 27.
Mhm.
Brian Keith was 40. And the black guy was just ridiculous. No way did she hit him hard enough for that bruise on his face. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
These are the things that concern me.
By the way, you said black eye. I heard the black guy.
The black
Me
guy
too.
was
And I thought, I don't remember a black
Yeah, I was like,
eye.
what do you mean?
Okay, as long as we're
What
all
am
on
I
the same
missing?
plane there.
sorry, the black eye.
Yes.
Okay. I'm from New York, black eye.
Yeah, exactly. What are you going to do? Long Island.
Hey, yo. Hey.
Hey,
And who hates veal parmesan?
Right?
I don't need it.
Well,
I don't touch
there
veal.
are people who do because it's veal.
I don't. That's
Not
I'm that people. I'm that
One.
people.
Anthony just waited.
That's true. Not in 1961.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
They were
everybody.
smoking the veal, literally.
And okay, Haley Mills really was adorable, but she can't play piano or guitar.
No.
She was terrible at both. And it was
Nor
very
can she
to
do
me,
a
it was
Boston
very
accent.
well, I thought it was very easy to tell Sharon from Susan. I thought she was great.
Yes,
And
but it was
obviously-
not a Boston accent.
Yeah. Boston
And
by way of
obviously-
London.
Yeah.
Yeah, British the whole
obviously-
time.
And obviously this was the inspiration for the Patty Duke show. And then the kids blackmail the parents. And the honey and the string was too far, but they took it even further in the remake. And it was ridiculous.
That's one of my
And-
notes.
And pushing him into the tent couldn't have been more awkward. He like looked around like, am I in the right place to fall on this thing? And slapping the kid, oy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the ending it needed in 1961, of course. Now on to 1998. The QE2 Nancy Myers, we like her. And then Flo showed up. Flo.
Yeah.
And she's British instead of Boston. And then Janice showed up from Friends.
I have a note on that too. Yeah.
And actually, the fencing mask was a very cute idea that
Yeah.
they fought each other and they didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sweet naming one of them Hallie because Haley. And the pranks were much too elaborate for 11-year-old girls, but maybe they watched Home Alone too much. I don't know. And the ear piercing was also a nice addition to the hair cutting. That was fun. And Natasha Richardson needed to get a line reading from me because when she saw the haircut, she said, "No, I absolutely love it." Instead of when she said, "You don't like my hair," it'd be like, "No, I absolutely love it." Line reading. All right, Here Comes the Sun. I guess they couldn't afford the Beatles version of the song. And Meredith, the Baroness here, is much more evil than she is in the other movie.
And
And
I like that they put the original one as her mom in this one, in the second
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
I
That was
didn't
amazing.
I didn't realize that until the end when it said her name. And then 40 minutes to go, and I don't really care what happens next. That's what
one.
and certainly the special effects are better. Okay,
I
three
have to say,
stars.
Cringer looks very sharp here.
Yeah.
Look
Although
at
your
him.
whole camera is fuzzy, like you have a computer from 1998.
I am using not my work computer since I don't work from home anymore.
Okay, 3 stars for the original, 2.5 for the remake, which for me just got too slapsticky and
Oh my God.
just didn't really care about it. Mark G, since you hated both of them, why don't you tell us
Wait,
what?
never mind.
Why?
This is definitely my
I was
first time
I was
seeing.
gonna say you didn't do Annie. Why Parent Trap? You usually start with that.
Oh yeah. Why don't we ask her first?
Oh, yeah, I stopped asking that question. Yes, Annie, why did you pick
Annie, why Parent Trap?
Yes. Well, I loved it. Absolutely loved it when I was a kid. And I've seen the original so many times. And then when the remake came
Were you
out,
secretly hoping you had a twin sister you didn't know about?
no, Tan's enough.
Yeah, right.
And your parents never divorced.
Yeah. But it was just that I actually loved all those old Disney movies, which I'm sure is going to wind up on my list. I got to
Right.
find them all.
Please.
But,
There's
Keep Friday.
Swiss Family Robinson, Pollyanna, all of those.
That's it. I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
out.
Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
I was
Oh, Mark, you shut up. We have to watch Ninja Assassins this year.
yes, you're welcome. That's all I'll say.
Ah,
So I actually love them all. And the remake was just in time for my kids who were
right. I thought
big
that.
Lindsay Lohan, fans and stuff. So I've
And
watched
she
that
was
one
cute.
a lot.
She was cute too.
Her debut. I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, and I think the British actually helped since Haley Mills was British already.
Yeah, no, it was
I
just
wonder how the German book deals with it. They must have both been from Germany, I would assume.
Probably some shouting in it.
All right, so Mark, go ahead.
Lots of anti.
I'll just start by saying it's my first time watching it. So watching this movie at 50 is a little bit different than, I'm not the target audience. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it for sure. For the first movie, you know how I feel about long opening credits to music, and that song was painful to watch. So thumbs down on the opening credits. I had to fast forward it. The one twin not understanding when they were at camp that they're twins after explaining that they have the same birthday and they look exactly alike was also equally painful.
I think that was mostly for the audience.
Yes, it was, but still painful. Um,
Well, because you knew the premise of the movie. All right, go on.
her being British was ridiculous. Like they didn't explain it. I know Joel sent or Frank, one of you sent an article on it, and I was like, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous. Um, I definitely found myself getting confused a bit, with which girl was which. And I hated, as you mentioned, Frank, the underlying premise in both movies of just not telling the twins about their sister, and never introducing them. That horrible thing right there.
Oh yeah.
But in this movie, considering it's 1961, I have to say the special effects were absolutely spectacular. It looked like they were twins. I didn't think that they could do that back in 1961, so I was very impressed. I laughed at the nanny saying she wouldn't say a word as she kept talking shit about the dad's new girlfriend, and I liked her a lot. I liked the girl really giving it to the dad's girlfriend with "If the Shoe Fits." I really liked the grandpa in both versions. I thought it was touching despite a long and painful first half, but I still found it. Oh, I still found it making no sense that keeping the girls a secret from each other. The second half was so much better than the first. The camp part it was too kiddie for me. But the second half, especially Maureen O'Hara, was fantastic in this movie. Um, I thought the fancy dinner with the concert was adorable. And Maureen was, I thought, better than Natasha Richardson. I thought she really nailed that part. I give the first movie 3 stars. So I didn't hate it. The remake. I'll start by saying they should have remade it in the 80s as a typical 80s summer camp flick with the girls being 18 with lots of TNA. It would have been a lot better and it would have gotten 4 stars to me.
That's called Little Darlings.
Ah,
Never heard that one. But I'm
you
thinking of
never
like
heard of it?
Little Darlings?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised he hasn't heard of it. You got to remember that movie hasn't been available on any video format since VHS until last year.
Wait a minute. Is there boobies in that movie?
I think there are.
Little Darling sounds like a movie that wouldn't. That doesn't sound like a typical TNA '80s. That sounds like a kiddie movie.
No, it's not.
No, it was Christy
Christy
McNichol and
McNichol.
Tatum O'Neal, and they
Oh,
were
yeah, they're like 14. There's no TNA in that. I guarantee you.
It's about them losing their virginity. It's been a while since I've seen it, so.
But they're both underage. There would be no, unless there's other random women in
Yes,
it that are
they're
naked.
both underage, and yet Brooke Shields was in the Blue Lagoon. Anyway,
And
move
she
on.
showed no nudity. That was a body double. That was the choreographer.
Doesn't matter.
If you don't think
No
I've looked that up.
nudity.
Okay. Again with the long opening credits, but at least this time it was Nat King Cole, and the ending credits also, I forget the song, but it was a good song, so I appreciated that. And this time, as you said already, but the camp had Kiss My Grits, and oh my God, it's Janice from Friends. That was great as her daughter. I like that they made one of the girls British. I assume it's a callback to the first movie.
I don't think it was, because Haley Mills was British and was doing
Yeah.
a bad American accent. She wasn't supposed
Yeah.
to be British,
She wasn't doing an American accent though.
but she was supposed to be from Boston.
Okay, yeah, but
Yeah, but from
That's my kid is-
Boston before the Revolution.
Oh, right.
And good for Lindsay Lohan for pulling all of that off with the accents. I thought that was very good, and she was kind of adorable, I have to say. But I definitely had deja vu seeing basically the same movie 2 times within 2 days. That was it was a little tough.
Well, it was cute that the second movie did pay homage with little things.
Yes, and also had I'm going to mention a few different things that they had. Well, the part with her seeing her mom for the first time was so overly dramatic with the slow motion hug. That was pretty bad. But I appreciated all the differences, especially at the end with both women meeting at the bar and all the near run-ins at the hotel. It's a little slapsticky, but at the same time, it was different from the first movie. Oh, it's overall a touch better than the first one for me, even though the second half of the first movie was very good. The first half was just painful for me. So I'm giving this one I'm giving them both 3 stars. I don't really need to see them both again, so I didn't want to be totally unfair, but not my I'm not the demographic, so that's it for me.
3 stars is pretty nice for not your demographic.
It is because I appreciated it was a touching family movie. It was just I'm a little bit too old to be watching G-rated cheesy. I love animated movies. I love G-rated movies, but it was a little bit too cheesy family, if you know what I mean.
Speaking of cheesy family, Aim?
Funny you mentioned how much you hated the opening titles of the first movie, because my very first note is adorable titles with the animations. I loved
Yes,
it.
he hated the song is what he hated.
Says the woman who put Do the Right Thing on our list. Yes, I understand. With the 9-minute opening credit.
Come on, Do the Right Thing has great
Yeah, I was gonna
opening
say.
titles.
Aim, wait, have you seen these movies before?
No, I had never seen them. And
Wow.
like Mark, for a second I confused it with Freaky Friday, which I loved.
Where was Jamie Lee Curtis?
And like you all touched on, I can't imagine seeing someone who looks like my twin and immediately hating them. But of course, you can't have comedy without conflict. Also interesting that both twins have poorly hidden English accents. They even had a dialogue coach got credits, and I was like, you didn't do a good
She was
job.
British the entire time. I didn't hear
Yeah.
any American.
I know. When Team B, which I called Haley with the bad hair, what Team B did to Team A while they were sleeping is nothing short of psychopathic behavior. The ropes, the water bucket, the honey. Oh my God. Calm down a little there. They did and I thought they did an incredible job with the split screen for 1961, Mark. It looked terrific to me.
Fantastic,
For the most
yeah.
part. I love that each girl had someone older to confide in and tell the truth. I didn't expect that, and I didn't expect it to happen as quickly as it did. I loved that. Do they actually think an acoustic guitar sounds like an electric guitar? Like, why does it sound like an electric guitar? For the most part, it's not the silly, bumbling movie meant for children like I imagine the Lindsay Lohan one will be. But at 2 hours and 9 minutes, it does run too long. And interestingly, they both run 2 hours and 9 minutes. That's all I wrote. Parent Trap 2, I thought it was ridiculous in the first movie to have a kid fly to another state to go to camp. And now we have a kid flying across the ocean to go to camp. I mean, who doesn't go to camp within 2 hours of where you live?
Where in the second movie, what state was where was the camp?
Wasn't it
know?
New York?
But aren't those camps usually in, upstate New York, Pennsylvania, that general vicinity?
That's where I went.
That's where I went too, upstate New York.
I thought you
Well,
looked familiar.
You got to figure that, they don't have camps like that in Britain.
Yeah. Or in California or anywhere between
Yeah,
California and New York. It was a little bizarre. I mean, something happens to your kid, you got to take a 6-hour flight to get there. I can't help but think they made Lindsay speak with an English accent so the idiots of the 90s would be able to tell the difference more easily than the smart people of 1961. You know, it did make it much easier to tell who was who, of course. The maid Chessie's reaction to Hallie being Annie was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Getting Joanna Barnes to play her original character's mother was amazing. The slapstick was awful, as I feared, but in both movies, really, especially the idiotic way Meredith reacted over a lizard, and then it went down her throat. I almost threw my remote. I know I said last week that Team B was a bunch of psychopaths for doing what they did to Team A and their cabin at the beginning of the movie, but having our two girls put Meredith on a raft in the water at night was nothing short of attempted murder. Good Lord. And
She deserved it.
What?
She deserved it.
She could have absolutely died. And
Yeah,
How much Xanax did she take
Yeah.
to not be woken up by being dragged out?
seriously.
I wake up if you breathe too loudly. So
I know. And of course, her outrageous reaction to having a bird on her was asinine. And
I
my
don't know,
final,
you get pretty freaky if a bug heads for your hair.
don't forget, if you wake up,
Not
if you're
anymore, not
waking
like I
up
used
and
to
something's
be.
on you, I could see you freaking out.
okay, but it's a bird. Oh, it's a little birdie. That's how I would react.
She hates
to it.
animals.
And then it pecks your eye out.
Yeah.
Like, so, and my final quote was great soundtrack. That's all.
I agree.
Great soundtrack. I would give them both 2.75 stars. They were fine. They were too long, and I don't need to watch them again, but I enjoyed them for the most part.
I almost went with that star rating myself, but I wanted to be a little bit nicer. So-
So Annie would show you her boobs.
yes.
There you go.
Joel.
All right, Joel. Excuse me, I'm running this.
Who's running this joint?
Anarchy in here.
Joel, had you seen both of these before? I assume the yes is the answer.
Yes and no, actually.
Oh, you didn't see the remake?
I did not see even though I have the remake, I forgot I actually have a copy of the remake on Blu-ray
You
because
don't know what you have.
yeah, no, I knew I had the original. I've seen the original before a number of times, and I think it's one of those, I have an affinity for Disney movies in general.
Yeah.
And the original is definitely a 60s Disney film through and through. It feels like every other Disney film of that era. This is not saying it's a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. They have their charms and their lovable bits and stuff. It's a fun film. It's a cute film. It's a too long film. At 2 hours and 9 minutes, it feels like 4 at times. Beyond that, it's cute and it's entertaining and it's nice to watch every decade or so just for shits and giggles. So the
So that one
remake,
gets 3
Huh?
stars. That one gets
2.75.
Right.
2.75.
Got it.
The remake, I realized it's one of those movies I bought when I had joined the Disney Movie Club that doesn't exist anymore. It was like Columbia House, where you bought a bunch, and they started doing exclusive Blu-rays that you couldn't get in stores. And so I was like, oh, this may be like worth something to someone someday. So I'm gonna pick it up and eventually watch it, and then sell it for like twice the price, and then it just sits in the cabinet. And the only reason I found it was because I went to grab the original because I wanted to watch some of the supplements that are on that disc, and didn't get to that anyway. But the remake, I'll say the exact same thing I just said about the first one. The remake is exactly like every other Disney film in the 90s. It feels like everything else they made. It has that same feel, that same look, the same tone. Again, not a bad thing. It is what Disney was doing well when they were doing live action films at that time. Um, there's some bits I enjoyed more, others I enjoyed less. It's still too long at 2 hours and 9 minutes. Although it took quicker for the girls to get to the point that, hey, these two girls are twins, than it did in the original, which I do appreciate.
Well, I think that's just a basic I don't know what I'm saying. Because the second movie was a remake, they're like, okay, people already know this part, so let's get to it.
They want to let's get to the meat of the thing. But then it's like, all right, once you've got that out of the way, it's still 2 hours and 9 minutes long, and it still feels.
But the first movie, the origin story, was to me it never felt long. The second movie definitely felt long because I think part of it being because we just watched the other one.
Yeah.
Yes, and I will say that I thought they cut out the whole camping trip in the second movie because I thought the movie was about to end, and I was like, oh my God, they still have to go camping? So yeah.
And they still have to hate the same fish. I mean, some of the dialogue throughout
Trout,
is really the same.
Well, the screenwriter of the original movie also got credit for this one as well, as having written the story. So
Sure.
It's the same movie, so I'm giving it the same thing. It's 2.75. It's not horrible. It was entertaining. I don't feel like I wasted 2 hours and 9 minutes of my life, or 4 hours and 18 minutes of my life in this case.
And certainly we have felt that way with others.
Exactly. So
So Annie, so both of these movies you've seen a lot.
But being more aware
Mature and
these days,
sophisticated
I
now.
thought she was going to say that too. Mature and sophisticated.
I did notice when I watched the 1961, like the two parts where the center, like the back, the gate or whatever. And then also after reading the article that Joel had sent, like there's this one scene where they're walking down the trail to the cabin where they have to stay. And she has like a big duffel on her shoulder, so you can't see her face. And so I noticed things like that. Like you always see the back of one when so, which I would never have caught before. So,
and that was really Haley Mills' sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, but I just thought it was so cute when I watched it as a kid, like just all of it, the cutting of the dress. I'm like, how does she not feel that?
Yeah.
Well, because there's like 44 layers of underwear underneath that.
But you cut down to the underwear, like, shouldn't you feel like
you feel a draft immediately? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually, when they pull the dress down that they just ripped off, it touches her legs. I noticed that, and she doesn't react. Come
on. They used the Great Escape March.
No.
And that's what it says.
No, that's not what it is.
Which march is it then?
It's Bridge on the River Kwai. It's Colonel Bogey's march.
Oh, well, because on my closed caption it says the Great Escape March.
Ooh. Yeah, your closed captioning is notorious for grammatical errors as well as factual ones, but it is Colonel Bogey's march from the Bridge on the River Kwai.
Well, thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
They don't only spell words wrong; they spell letters wrong.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought was cute was when she tries the wine and she can like totally talk about it because she lives in a vineyard.
Yeah, that was cute.
That was actually very good. Yeah.
But no, it's just a cute thing. I loved it. I'm in the Freaky Friday mode also, so we'll catch that. Did I put that down this year?
No, maybe 2027.
I
got a list of them
because the sequel's coming out. I thought it would make sense to watch it in the sequel. Maybe I'll put it in one of my slots.
There you go.
Oh, is it coming out this year?
Yeah, the sequel's coming out this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but which one are you going to make us watch? The original or the remake?
Both.
And then
both. Okay.
I'm not doing 3 movies. I'm not doing 3 Freaky Fridays in 1 week. All day.
But then also so many, like the guys also, there's movies that the guys switch.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
18 again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. It's a 3-star movie because it is too long and stuff, but I'm giving it 3.25. The 2.5 is for the nostalgia factor and on both of them.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Nostalgia is a very big proponent in our movie picking here as well.
Yes. Well, and I thought the kids, both Haley Mills and Lindsay Lohan, did a very good job.
Agreed.
Yeah, they were both
Yeah.
great. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I guess that's it for us. The both versions of The Parent Trap are available on Disney Plus. And next week, Amy chose Inner Space from 1987. I remember watching it then. I have no recollection even what it's about.
It's a Dennis Quaid-a-thon.
Yes. And you see his butt. I remember that. It's not available from your usual subscription streaming services. Rent it, whatever.
He
Okay.
goes inside someone's body. That's all I
Does he?
remember.
It's Fantastic Voyage, but with one person instead of a team of 4.
Right. And
It's
yes,
Joe Dante.
it'll be our second Dennis Quaid movie in 2 weeks. All right.
And
Thank
he
you,
was,
kids. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and he was not as good as Brian Keith.
Brian Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
thought Brian Keith did a much better
Agreed.
job.
As did Maureen O'Hara. Yeah. The parents.
Yeah.
Although Maureen O'Hara was a little bit more dramatic, like
Yeah.
the-
But I also liked how they, she kind of ramped up her womanliness when she went to,
And she had a wink and a smile the whole time. I thought she was very
Yeah.
clever. Yeah.
yeah.
Somebody who has too much time on their hands, not me, who has done other things like this before, should take both movies and re-edit them together, but have Brian Keith and Maureen O'Hara as the parents and Lindsay Lohan as the kids.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a fun project. That's it. I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch a movie.
And also with you and you.